You join us here for a wonderful day today. I think everyone's very excited. Are you very excited?
I'm very excited.
I think we should all be very, very excited. Okay, I think they're on the starting blocks now. I think we can see a good number, and they're in the number 4. They've been turning out very well. That'll be Skits there. In the number 2 jacket, in the red and white there, we have things they've watched, and next to them is things they played, and finally, bringing up the far side across from the stands there is things they've listened to. Now there are a couple of queer trans ladies who will be riding today, and they're off. Greetings, strangers, queer and pleasant. I'm not Dora Kate Magnettale.
I'm not Jane Harris Magnettale, and I just watched my lovely wife attempt to shake her head forward to get her glasses to fall onto her face.
No, I didn't. I just nodded enthusiastically, and my glasses sort of half fell down.
The way you did it, it looked like it was a deliberate attempt to, aha, my glasses are on. And it very almost worked.
It was not intentional, but I was like, suddenly, a glass. Not both glasses, just one.
This is a show where two queer trans women have a catch-up about the media we've enjoyed in the weeks and do silly voices and skits and just have a bit of a catch-up. How are you doing? Yeah.
Looking forward to organising a holiday.
Yeah.
I haven't done that in a few years.
I am good. I'm feeling good. I've had a very busy day of reorganising the office.
Yeah.
It's getting all fancy, but it's still shuffling things around, so...
Have streams seen much of this yet?
Not really, no. Like, at some point I'll have to just put the webcam, like, at a slightly different angle so they can see the room and be like, look at all this.
Have they seen the amazing bunny chair?
They have seen the chair with bunny ears, so I can now...
the bunny chair TM.
Yeah, I can just lean my head back and it looks like I have bunny ears on stream, and that's a wonderful thing. I can put on the cat ear headphones and have cat ears and bunny ears at the same time.
So many ears.
I am the truest epitome of gamer gal.
Yep, you're so furry.
What have you been playing this week?
Oof, playing. Well, that's a jolly good question, I suppose. I suppose late entry this week. I usually sort of try and start sort of early on, but late entry this week. Last night I read about a game called Terra Nil.
Yes!
And this morning I played the demo of Terra Nil.
Yes.
And I've added Terra Nil to my wishlist on Steam.
This is a game that I saw some trailers for during E3 week. I think it showed up. It might have been during a Wholesome Direct, or it might have been during one of the Guerrilla Collective streams, but I also had the demo for this downloaded and also have played it.
Yeah, so what did you think of Take the Wasteland and Make It Grass?
I very much enjoyed it. What I didn't initially anticipate, and this sort of like is a thing I would give people a heads up of if you want to go and try this trailer of this demo for a little terraforming thing, you have a limited number of resources available with which you are aiming to 100% terraform this area, as best I can tell, and if you run out of resources, like points to spend on things, it doesn't seem like there's any way to get more, from what I can tell. It seems...
So, tell me about your experience then. So, what were you actually doing?
Well, I was slowly terraforming this lovely little space. I was making wind turbines for power, using them to terraform dirt into things that could be green, setting up the sort of water things that spray water in 4 directions to make like nice greenery and grass.
Hydrators,
Yep. Finding little river sections and putting a thing in them so they'd fill with water and then grass would sprout around them.
Yep.
Going by the edge of water and creating new patches of land that you could put more energy generators on so you could keep spreading out that way. And I didn't really use the dig trenches tool very much, and in hindsight I maybe should have done, but it was very expensive as a tool and I wasn't certain about it at first. But then I reached a point where I had spent all my resources and I think I was at like 80% terraformed, and the only thing I could see to do to get any of my points back to build anything else was to undo the single last thing I'd built. And I couldn't go any further back than that, and I was just stuck at a point of I can't terraform any further. And I'm curious to hear about your experience in a minute, because, like, I got to that point and went, oh, was I supposed to be treating this much more of a, this is a puzzle to be solved where I have to be very economical about where I place things to maximize coverage so that I'm always getting the most for my thing I've built possible, or I can't complete this. I'm curious how your experience was.
Okay, so my experience was, like, resources barely, like, literally never came into it, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
So, so you build the wind turbines,
Yeah.
and they can only be built on the little rocks.
Yeah.
And then the next bit of tutorial is build the things that turn the wasteland into dirt.
Yeah.
As far away from the windmill as possible, so you can get like 4 around it.
Yeah.
And then you can usually get, like, because the hydrator thing shoots in an L shape, you can usually work out a way to, like, do one in one bit and one in the other bit so that it makes a long rectangle that's completed.
Yeah.
Or at least most of it is completed.
Yeah.
And then you get enough to sort of do kind of one L shape, or you can, like, start doing another bit.
So,
once you've got the hydrators in, that usually generates you more leaves.
yeah. So here's, I guess, the problem is, I was treating this the way I would treat something like the creative mode in Dwarf Romantic.
Okay.
Where I wasn't thinking at all about the resource I was spending, and I was being a little bit perfectionist and occasionally using these generators in places where I was gaining very little for having done them, but I wanted to fill in that little space I'd accidentally left. And doing it that way left me in an end state of, I have not 100%ed and there is no way for me to. Like, I can't selectively go, I'll trash that thing I made and get its points back and build another one somewhere else. It does let you dead-end yourself on that demo.
Interesting.
And I want to retry that demo, like, with the knowledge in mind of, okay, I do need to be a lot more economical about how I spend these things, because it does seem like the point is, can you hit 100% without using up all of your resources first?
Okay. Well, you don't have to hit 100%.
Okay.
You are basically asked to fill in a certain amount. So the first thing you're asked to do is get like some greenery.
Yes.
And then you'll have a meter, and it goes up to 100%, but that's 100% of the meter being full.
They asked me to go to 25% and then gave me more tools and left me to keep going, and they didn't, like, at any point stop me.
Okay.
So I assumed I was supposed to be keeping going.
So when you get the new tools, the dial changes in the middle.
Yeah.
And then it's asking you to get a barful of wetland, a barful of flowerland, and a barful of forest.
Oh, I didn't twig that. I somehow missed that that's what it was asking me for. I thought it just went from 25% to, here's some new tools. Because it didn't explain what the new tools were either. It just...
You can hover over them and it tells you what to do.
But I mean, it just gave me new tools and was like, the bar's not at 100%. And I just assumed I was supposed to hit 100% and didn't twig that, like... So by filling up those bars of, like, having a certain amount
you
of...
get to the first one, and it ticks you into a new thing, and it splits the circle into 3. And there's a little icon of just some, like, wetland, like a single block of wetland, and then there's another icon which is a single block of, like, forest, and another one that is, like, a single block of whatever the other thing is. And your mission at that point is to try and you will probably need to use the lasers, and one of the things with that is the first power up on the second bar is to make everything in the first section cheaper.
Oh,
so
yeah, I never encountered any of this.
So for the sake of everyone else, I will go through what else happens. But so you're then charged with trying to balance out the different biomes. Yeah. Because it says, like, okay, now try and build, like, we need to expand the biomes or something, or we need to expand the wildlife and get more biomes. So it ends up being this sort of puzzle of where can I not quite get to? So you're putting the lasers down that will shoot along a line and create a little trench that will be another river. Yes. Then you're maybe putting down a pump to get water into that riverbed. Yeah. Then you're doing the thing that... to make more land. Like a calcifier, I think it's called.
So that you can put down another wind turbine.
Yeah, so it makes, like, higher rocks to put wind turbines on. Yeah. Then you will be able to get into that area with the, like, base things over again. And then once you've got like enough of everything grassed over, you can start going, okay, well, that hydrator is near enough lake, so I'm going to turn it into a wetland generator, and that will increase my wetlands. And then that area over there has a big tree in it, so I'm going to put a beehive in that tree, and that's going to all become beautiful flowery land. And
Yeah.
the other one's a bit more complicated. The third biome type is forest. And to
Okay.
do that, you basically need to find the right balance of, I have power here, I have some grassland that I've made, and now I need to put down a thing that makes the sun get targeted, and then I need to put a thing for the sun to target, and it basically like magnifies the sun onto this little compost patch, sets fire to like a whole big area of your thing that you've been working on in a controlled burn, but it creates life-giving ash. And from that ash, you'll get like little points that you can plant forests directly on top of, and it will spread out huge forest areas.
I need to go back and try this demo again. There is clearly a point where just whether I wasn't paying attention or it wasn't clear about what I needed to do, I just felt sort of they let go of my hand and were like, "Yeah, you know what to do, right?"
I feel
And-
like you must have missed a prompt at some point, because I swear there are a few that you can just click through without really noticing.
That is the thing. It's really easy to accidentally click through a prompt on this, and it's entirely possible I did and just assumed I was just being left to... Because here's the thing, I was really enjoying it until I had no resources left and didn't know what to do. So I'm going to go back and give that demo another go,
Give it
because
another whirl.
it seemed really promising and it was very satisfying. I roadblocked kind of early and thought that I just had misunderstood. Like, I felt like, oh, I've misunderstood what kind of puzzle this is, and therefore I should have done things differently, rather than I'm missing a key component of how I'm supposed to be playing.
I suspect that is probably the case. Because once you've started to get those things all in balance, you'll start to notice, oh, there are deer running around the forest, and there are fish in the water.
Yeah.
And you can actually see the bees and little
Yeah,
insects.
I didn't in any way, shape, or form get the sense I was supposed to be balancing things. I thought everything was supposed to be grass, and all other forms were just ways of getting to everything being grass.
And then basically once you've got everything in balance and achieved that goal, your next thing is just to fuck off.
Yeah.
So you are told, like, hey, here are some silos, pop them down, and they will have like a range around them, and they will basically gather up all the machines you've built into this thing. And if that silo is near enough to a riverbed, then you can send a little hovercraft along, and they will pick it up from these little loading docks and take them to your ship, your recycled ship.
Aww.
And then you basically collect up all of the machines you've built in these little silos using the little hovercraft. And then your ship takes off, and then it sends out a little thing to get the hovercraft up, and then it takes off, and it's like, that's the end of the demo. I'm like, but it's... I made the horrible, nasty brown place into a lovely green
Sounds
lush
so
place full of
satisfying,
sweet
and
animals.
I was really enjoying terraforming the place, and I need to go back and try this demo again. Yay!
I hope that is more fulfilling, but yeah, I got through the end of the demo. It's just like a single level, and it's just like, I wanted to play more of this, and it looks really sweet, and I felt like we live in a terrifying burning world that no one with any real power is doing anything to sort out. So it's nice to sort of go, I made the aminos.
I made the grass and the water.
And I've looked on the Steam page as well, like some of the just like other biomes areas they're working on. It sounds really interesting, like Arctic tundra.
Yes.
So you've got like areas that you might need to melt some of the polar ice, so that you can work on stuff that would be under the ice, like reintroducing the kelp farms or helping the kelp fields just replenish. And for that, you might be using geothermal energy from eruptions and stuff, and then just refreezing the whole thing and taking off again. It's just like, that's really cool.
It does seem like a real neat game.
It's nice to feel like you have some ability, and that was my that was Terra Nil. The demo is still available. I didn't know they were going to take these away, but I got the impression that some of these demos were talking about leaving.
It entirely depends on which ones you're looking at. Like, some time-limited demos were put up for things like, I think Guerrilla Collective, some of their demos were only, or some of the Wholesome Direct ones, were only, like, available for that weekend. Steam Next Fest is currently going on, and some of the demos are, like, limited to 1 week. But I don't think that's going to apply to Terra Nil, because I think a week has passed since then. I think that would have been yesterday, the day before we recorded. Any of the 1 week ones would have gone away.
Well, the reason I thought to mention this is actually about another demo that we both played. Because this morning I heard, hey, don't worry, that demo that you might probably not have tried yet, we're going to keep it around for a little bit longer. You've got another week to play other games.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about other games?
Yeah, so we should talk about Cult of the Lamb.
We should.
Yeah, side note, this is why I'm trying to get through so many of those E3 demos at the moment, is like, to just
Why?
dip my toes in a bunch of them.
Why do they not want the advertising?
I feel like part of it is because, like, they know what people's Steam libraries are like, and the number of things people will set and never actually get around to playing. And I guess it's, if there's a time limit, you might actually check the thing out, because of sense of urgency. But yeah, Cult of the Lamb is a game that Devolver are publishing about being a happy little lamb trying to resurrect an ancient evil god from some dark
I don't
dimension.
know if they're evil.
I mean, they might not be evil. They are.
The cult that were having you sacrificed at the beginning of the demo.
Yeah,
certainly seemed evil.
I mean, they certainly are able to bring people back from the dead to start cults and chained to the ground in a mirror dimension. But yeah, there's a cult that's going to sacrifice you. It sounds like because there is a prophecy that a lamb will,
that seems
rescue
to be the case, and also it seems like they have literally genocided all other lambs apart from you.
You are the only remaining lamb, and you get killed. And this being is like, they tried to kill you to keep me away from you, but in fact, in death they sent you right to me. Would you like to come back to life in exchange for making a cult to bring me back? And your options are yes or absolutely.
Yeah.
And you go doing sort of dungeon run stuff to rescue future followers for your cult, and then you do a little bit of base building, and then you go back out murdering.
In a Binding of Isaac slash... I was kind of going to say Dark Souls, but I'm trying to think of maybe more like Dead Cells.
I don't know for a fact from this demo, but it feels like it's probably going to be a procedurally generated roguelike structure to a degree, where you have like 4 major levels you're trying to beat, and each of them will have branching paths where you make choices about like what kind of rewards you will get for picking that kind of room. Some of which are, for example, you might grab food along the way, which you can bring back to your followers to feed them, things like that. But you are basically trying to defeat these 4 bosses to unleash the god that you have pledged to make a cult for.
And you have paths within paths, so you've got the, like, hey, this is where I'm going on this run. As you said, like, from that map you can see, like, there might be food, there might be wood, there might be stone, things that you will need as elements to help with your base building section. Then you've also got the actual levels themselves. So you've picked a path, you've gone on the path, you've selected the next level, and you've got, like, what appears to be procedurally generated areas. There might also be shops in those little areas.
It reminds me very much of, toward the end of a run of Hades, you get these rooms where there will be a doorway that says, you get this reward for going in here, and then you have to do a series of rooms to get that reward. It's not a single room, but like that series of rooms will give you that reward, and then you pick the next one to do. It kind of had that vibe.
Kind of, yeah. And definitely the reason I was comparing to Isaac is just the ability to sort of backtrack, and it might be a bit of a maze, and there'll be shops in there, and people who would just be like, hey, you can have one of these tarot cards, and that will give you maybe extra life, or maybe like a thing like when you're very close to death, you'll explode or something, and that will damage all the enemies.
And I was trying to think of how to talk about this demo, and it feels like it is the inverse of something like Stardew Valley, in that Stardew Valley is first and foremost about, like, building your farm and your community, and a little bit of the time you go off to fight things. This basically flips those.
Yeah.
It feels like the majority of your time is going to be doing those dungeon runs with a little bit of basic resource collection, building things for your town, making sure the people are okay in between. Like, again, like Hades, where you have, like, your stop, see how all your people are doing in between runs as a little palate cleanser.
Yeah.
It plays really nicely. Like,
Yeah.
your sheep, your lamb moves really quickly, has a very satisfying dodge roll with a lot of invincibility frames on it, very satisfying melee attack that does a lot of, like, satisfying hit stun. Like, the hits feel weighty when they connect.
It also depends very much which weapon you've got. Like,
yeah.
The start of my run, I was given an axe that had quite a basic attack on it. I think it had some knockback, and at one point I was offered a chance to get like a flaming sword or a slightly different kind of axe.
Yeah.
They would offered more damage. One of them had a slightly different effect.
Yeah.
And then eventually I came to yet another one which gave me an axe, which gave me a vampiric axe. I was like, yes.
I assume that, like, at the start of each run, you're given 2 randomized things, a weapon and a magic cast.
Yes.
Because my run, I had a basic sword, and I had the ability to cast a... basically pick a direction, and tentacles erupt from the ground in that direction in a line.
That's the one I got too. And then someone was like, you can have this other thing where you throw a fireball. Fuck that, give me tentacles!
No, give me the tentacles! Yeah. Like, my concern for a game like this is I was like, what actually am I doing moment to moment? Because the trailers, yeah, I like the concept, it seems fun. What's my actual gameplay loop like? This seems like a really satisfying game to play.
Yeah, this feels like it could very easily be, like, fill that Isaac hole for me of just like, hey, I'm just going to do, like, a few runs of this. And if the persistent village building is also...
Because we got to the village once, we did a run, and when you die on that run, it's like demo over. But I assume when you go back, there will be some persistent stuff that will help, like, give you a better starting position the next time you go into a run, things like that.
I would assume so. And also, like, getting more cultists along the way.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that I wasn't super keen on about the indoctrinating new cultists, like, you can change everything about them.
Yeah,
and that, I don't know why that rubbed me in a really weird way.
Same. I was like, look, I feel like changing the colour of the character, that felt okay. Changing maybe if they had markings on them, that felt okay. Changing them to a completely different species of animal, no, that felt weird, and no.
For me, like, changing their clothes, anointing them with blood, seemed like perfectly fine. As soon as it was like, yeah, you can just make this a completely different animal, I was like, I feel weirdly not okay about this, and I cannot explain why.
I mean, I think I can explain why for me. I think at least in part it's cult leader forcibly changes your body. Feels like maybe it's just because I'm trans that I got some weird like, oh, if I joined a cult and they were like, oh, you have to have this body now, I'd be uncomfortable as fuck about that.
You're a panda now, but I was a doe. You're a panda.
Yeah. It's fine. My first one was a bunny though, so I was like, I'm never changing you.
I think mine was a little deer. And like I was like, okay, and literally the first option I think is like change. Like what that character is. It's like,
name was another one you could change, and I was like, I don't feel right changing your name or what species of animal you are.
Yeah, that was the other thing. Like, I think if you wanted to change them to like give them like a slightly secty title, like call them sibling, whatever they used to
be. Exactly.
But
it's a very promising demo though. And that game's
obviously
out in, like,
that stuff that we're talking about, you don't have to do.
No. And like this game comes out, I think, like in August, so it's I think only a couple of months. It might even be sooner than that.
Month and a half, maybe.
I might check the release date quickly.
I think it just says 2022 right now.
I believe it got a release date during E3 week. I might be wrong.
It's not on the Steam page.
Maybe it didn't. No, it still says 2022. August 11th, 2022. Ooh. Yeah, so that's like less than 2 months. I thought there was one, I think, during the Devolver presentation at E3.
Not enough people have updated it yet.
Yeah, but that's definitely one of the better demos I've played during E3 week. Yeah.
Yeah. What else have you played?
I've been playing other demos of stuff. I played a demo for a game called The Last Worker,
Okay.
which again was another one of these E3 ones. You are basically playing the last human worker in an Amazon factory. All of their warehouses have been automated, and you are basically the only human left doing the menial work who hasn't yet spoken up and complained about the working conditions and having to pee in bottles and whatever.
Mhm.
And it's useful to have a human around in case anything breaks and we need to have a person look at it. And the demo kind of gives two little sections of it's clearly trying to not give too much of the story away. So you start the game basically being Amazon warehouse worker in your little flying cart going around finding packages.
Right.
You've got a little gun that you can grab things off the shelf at a slight distance. You've got a little GPS that will sort of lead you to your next package.
Mhm.
And the other bit of the demo is clearly more here is where the plot is going, which is you are sneaking around the facility after dark doing sort of light stealth gameplay, trying to not get caught by automated machines that, because you were on the shop floor, the warehouse floor after hours, you will be seen as a threat. Following around someone who is very clearly trying to go, hey, come have a look at the fucking horrors this huge corporation is doing and the huge amounts of destruction that the company is based on, and trying to basically get you on side to tear them down from the inside via being the last human inside an Amazon warehouse. The demo is pretty short and it doesn't give you much in the way of insight of what the overall gameplay loop is going to be like, other than just moving around and inhabiting the space. But the writing is pretty on point. It's well acted. It's got nice voice acting. There's a few mechanics shown off, a little robot has found you and is trying to raise an alarm. Grab it with your box-grabbing gun and charge it up to, ping them across the other side of the warehouse and run away. It seems intriguing, and it seems very polished in its presentation.
Mm-hmm.
It's very clearly, someone has put a lot of effort into making sure this is very well made.
Yeah.
It intrigued me enough to want to play more, but I don't have a huge amount of things to say about it other than I played it and it was enough for me to go, this is interesting, I want more. What about you? What have you played this week?
I played that Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles Shredder's Revenge game.
Yeah, I have yet to give it a try. How is Shredder's Revenge?
It's okay. It isn't what I feared, because I'd heard some really early reviews from a couple of months back almost, going
Yeah.
I played through the first 3 levels and I had access to 4 characters and it was all very samey.
Yeah.
And it felt too much like the old Konami arcade games.
Yeah.
Which were, as we all know, just there to swallow your money. And, okay, the Donatello and Leonardo have a bit more reach, but that really is most of the difference between the cells.
Yeah.
At least with Shredder's Revenge, there are, actual techniques and moves. So you have your... you can, grab someone and throw them towards the screen. You can grab someone and, toss them back and forward over your head. Which, again, is one of the classic grapple moves from the arcades. You can, grab them and just toss them away. You have, a sliding kick thing. You have, jump attacks. You have rising attacks, where you're, leaping into the air and smashing them. Which is quite nice in large groups. You'll smash one up in the air and then do a down attack on the way down and kick a couple of people in the face.
Yeah.
You can get some really nice combos going. The enemies, I really can't tell if it's the way they've done them or just the personality they've added to them that makes them all feel really different.
Okay.
In the classic Turtles game, you really felt like you were just fighting palette swapped Foot Clan.
Yeah.
And occasionally, the little whip droid things and the Mousers.
Yeah.
And in this, okay, you will fight a lot of Purple Foot Clan and a lot of Red Foot Clan and a lot of Yellow Foot Clan and green and a different shade of green and some blue ones and some black ones and some white ones. But, like, you might have, like, you'll walk onto the screen and there's just a couple of purple Foot Clans just playing Game Boy.
Oh.
Or you'll be walking through, like, a mall area and there's just one in a little chef's hat standing behind, like, being a fry cook.
Oh.
Or they'll just be, like, standing around reading newspapers or
Yeah.
having their own little lives. It almost feels like the turtles are causing more problems.
Yeah.
From the, like, obviously the cutscenes between levels don't indicate that at all. But if you took those away, it really feels like the turtles are causing the problems here.
Yeah. Oh, we're just sitting around doing the... Oh, shit, turtles came for us.
Oh, come on. And you've got, obviously, like, different ones. Like, the blue ones will often have swords. They will attack in particular ways. They come up often enough. You've got dark green ones with spears. You've got, I think, light green ones with a different, like a javelin or something. There's a lot of different weapons, lots of different styles of attacks. There's black ones that have got psi, and they're quite sneaky to get around. The blue ones jump a lot. Like, they'll very often, like, appear above your head and you'll have, like, a couple of seconds to roll out the way. Well, that's the other thing, like, just the fact that you have, like, a rolling dodge.
Yeah.
Or, you've been damaged and knocked down, you can roll out of the way to get straight back up again.
Just modern gameplay mechanics that help to make it feel a bit more up to date.
There's, like, 21 moves that it talks you through before you start a game. I think you can disable that, but it's like, hey, before we start, here are the 21 things you can learn to do. Most of them are fairly simple. Like, the most basic one is hit the basic attack button 4 times. Ta-da! You can get away through that game button mashing, but you'll probably get more out of it by actually, like, going in and slowly adding more things to your repertoire from that. And you're encouraged to do that at least in campaign mode. Yeah, because there are 2 modes. Is the classic arcade, which is you've got a limited number of lives, a limited number of continues. Go for it. Try and do all the levels in one marathon. There's no saving, there's no checkpoints. Just do it like you would if you were playing an arcade game. And the other one is, here is a map. You can go and do the levels, you can go and redo levels. Yeah. There are missions to do in each of the levels, so it might be like, do this particular move on this type of enemy 3 times. Yeah. You'll get some points, and you might end up getting, like, an extra move, or an extra attack bar, or extra health.
Just making it more of a traditional linear narrative sort of game.
Yeah, a little bit more like
a home console game.
More like an ARPG, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, there'll be things in levels where you'll start picking up a particular type of item, and you might not even have the person those items are for yet. Yeah. But it's like, one of the first ones you get is, like, I found this guy in the first level. The first level is the the TV studio, and you'll find, like, your Jonah Jameson type guy. Yes. He wants copies of all of his original press stories, so go and find 3 newspapers scattered throughout levels. Yeah. And then go back to him, get a number of points. Those points will be experience to earn towards new things. Somebody else wants a bunch of diaries returned to them. And you're finding not only the characters that want all these things, but also the things they want. And luckily it tells you, like, how many secrets are in each level. So you can go, oh yeah, I've definitely done all of these things in here. It's good. It's fun. I think it's fun enough. It's a lot better than I was expecting.
Yeah, you were going in very, like, not expecting to have a great time.
Yeah, and the only problem I've had with it so far is I'm pretty sure I was on the final boss, and the batteries died on my controller. Oh. I replaced them, and it kept saying it just would not reconnect my controller at all.
Oh no.
Like, it was flashing and then just saying controller disconnected. And I was like, oh, maybe the batteries didn't charge, because they're, like, just rechargeable AA's. Yeah. But I played all the way through Cult of the Lamb today with the same batteries without even thinking about it. So that kind of put me off. So I don't know if that's going to be something that somebody fixes, that if controllers get disconnected, they won't reconnect for some reason. maybe it was just me. I don't know. But that's the only gripe I've had with it so far.
If that's the only gripe you've had, that's a pretty good review.
And I went in really pessimistic.
Yeah.
So.
Yay.
What about you?
Very quick one. Fall Guys is out on the Switch now. Free to play. I played some of it. Couple of quick thoughts. It plays perfectly well on Switch. The major compromise that's been made is that in the first couple of rounds, where there are like the maximum 60 people still in the match, players who are not you will have their frame rate considerably lowered. You will be at perfectly full speed, but you'll occasionally have people around you a little bit sort of slightly more flick booky as they move. And like it
Does that
isn't
cause problems when they start attacking you?
No, it is generally like it's well enough that like even if they're not doing the animations of the running, they're all in the correct place at the right time, and like you know where everyone is, and like that is handled fine. It's just they've decided to animate on fewer frames while keeping them in the correct positions, and it's a little distracting at first if you've played a lot of Fall Guys on other platforms. I got over it very quickly. If you are just looking to play Fall Guys on a handheld, yeah, this is totally a really good way to play it with that caveat in mind. And like once you get a round or so in, and the numbers have shrunk a bit, like it lessens and it lessens as you go through, and it's clearly just a compromise for you're in the starting block of 60 and we don't want to animate 60 original characters at the same time because that would slow the experience down, and we want to make sure you're going at full speed. The other thing I want to vaguely talk about is because it's gone to being free to play, couple of things. If you bought it as a purchased product before it went free to play, you get a bunch of cosmetics for free, which is pretty nice.
Is that true across the board?
That is true across the board.
Okay.
If you bought it on any platform, you can now play, like, there's cross-progression, so let's say you bought it on PC or on PlayStation. All of the cosmetics you unlocked on those will transfer over, and you will get a bunch of new stuff for having purchased it. They'll give you a bunch of extra cosmetics. So, like, all of my PlayStation progress and unlocks and cosmetics carried over to the Switch just fine. Got a bunch of extra stuff as a thank you. But it is important to note that, like, when that game wasn't free to play, there was no way to spend real money to unlock the fancy outfits, whereas now there is. You can now, because it's a free-to-play game, spend money on a virtual currency to purchase a cosmetic from the shop. That being said, it's not as bad as a lot of free-to-play games in that it only has one battle pass and it's free and everyone has access to it and you don't need to pay for access to the battle pass. And there's no way to pay to go faster through the battle pass. And there's a decent amount of stuff to unlock for free in the battle pass. So it is still like, and there's still cosmetics that you can purchase with the in-game earned currency. And by winning matches, you can still unlock stuff. So you don't, none of the stuff is you have to pay for it.
Yeah.
But there is now that little thing that I know for some people is going to be a problem, which is there is a thing you could go and pay money to have that outfit right now. And that is now an element of the game to be aware exists.
Yeah. I think the thing that was concerning me most about this news was the fact that they've delisted it from Steam, and I bought it on Steam, so
my understanding is that if you bought it on Steam, if you now go to Epic and download it there, you will get all of your stuff you had on Steam and the, like, thank you for having purchased it, here is all... here's a bunch of extra stuff to say thank you. Should all carry over.
More stuff on Epic. Ugh.
I know.
I'm not even in the school of... Because I think they're both pretty much as bad as each other as far as companies go. But also just like, this is one more place I've got to go.
Side note, if you have it on Steam, I believe you can still download it and play it on Steam.
You just can't buy it, though?
You just can't buy it now on Steam. But I believe this is the situation, is if you already bought it on Steam, you can still play it through Steam.
Okay.
Which is nice.
Just don't make my life more hassle.
Yeah, I get it, though. It's Epic bought the devs. I get why Epic would want to do that. But I believe you can still play the Steam version just fine if you purchased it when it was on Steam.
I don't even play it that much. But
no.
like, I think whenever a game is like, I bought this, and but now we're really restricting it because of the way it changed hands. Like Rocket League, I think.
Yeah.
Like, we're changing some things. Cool. Like, I don't mind that it's free to play. I'm glad more people will play the game. But also, what?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm happy about this coming to Switch mainly because, like, I can't play this on Steam Deck at the moment because the Steam Deck runs on Linux and there's no dual booting, so I can't dual boot for Windows currently. A lot of games that have online multiplayer that have DRM, like anti-cheat stuff, don't play nice with Linux.
No.
So they just won't let you play on Linux for a bunch of stuff. So, like, Fall Guys is one I can't play on the Steam Deck, and I'm like, you know what? I like Fall Guys, and I will happily take an opportunity to be able to, like, second screen play it while doing something else.
Yeah.
And that Switch version, it's gonna take a second. You're gonna, your first couple of rounds, go, that person next to me slideshowing a bit. It's not, like, a big issue.
Yeah.
And I think of all the compromises they could make to keep it running well, I think that was a sensible compromise. But yeah, what about you? You played anything else this week?
Oh yes. So we started playing through Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past.
You say started playing through. We played through most of it in
like
one
2/3
sitting.
of the way through it, yeah.
We've got like 2 dungeons in the final dungeon. Yeah, so 3 total left to do.
Yep.
We did most of that in a day.
Yep.
That continues to be a really good video game, even if there are a couple of bullshit moments in it.
There are a couple of bullshit moments, and I've been finding this harder than playing it with a randomizer.
Yeah.
Because I played it like 3 times, maybe 4 times through on the
Yeah.
randomizer a couple of years ago, like in really quick succession, and I got quite good at like know where all the secret things are, like know where all the like lesser known chests are, because you have to go through them because that might be that one chest that's got a particular sword in it that you need. Or like one particular item that's completely blocking progress. It's like, where can I get to right now?
Yeah.
And the thing about those randomizers is they are like mathematically worked out to, you can always do it.
Yeah.
You can always do it. It just might be really tricky. So it's been kind of weird going, I don't have this thing yet. It'd be really handy for this exact moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's been fun going through it again. It's been nice to see it again, even though we have been like doing silly voices through a lot of the cutscenes.
We've been doing silly voices through the cutscenes, and we've been abusing the rewind function to I want to play through and I want to remind myself of this game. I don't want to spend too long doing it. I just want a nice
have the experience. I don't want to like bang my head against the ice.
I want a nice little whistle stop visit to go. Yep, that was A Link to the Past, because we've both individually played it lots of times. We've never played it together.
That's true. Yeah, and it's just like one more in our collection of we're slowly playing through.
We're playing them all together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's going pretty well so far.
Yeah. I'm excited to wrap that up in an afternoon at some point. Yeah.
The only other thing I can think that we played some more Clank Acquisitions Incorporated because we finally had some free time to go and see our local game group.
We did. This is the first time we've played it since the last time we played it, the incident, and like. It's funny to joke about it as the incident, but like I think we talked about it on this show before. We had a bit of a rocky time last time we played, in that it is a cooperative but also competitive game, and we struggled a little with the group we played with at knowing where that line was of what is fair game to snipe from other players and what is not, and what is friendly competitiveness and what is... That just felt like kind of a dick move to do.
Yes. And like we did, as we talked about previously on the show, we before we even started, we had a conversation about where we stand on that thing. Like, hey, I am perfectly happy for this to be a competitive thing, but I need to understand that is the case, because if that is the case, I am not willing to make a sacrifice for the team. Yeah. For the team to then go, fuck you.
Yeah. And I think we found that balance in that playing a few more games, and particularly having the example we had in our head from the last time we played, which was someone grabbing a quest that would have made sense for someone else narratively, and then not even going and completing the quest, and that being a whole thing. where I think we this time round had that sort of, oh, this would make sense for you, and everyone just sort of let things be for the people where it's like, oh, that makes sense for you, we'll leave that, but we'll be competitive about
like, we're obviously
generics.
trying to get the most amount of gold.
Yeah.
We might buy a backpack and get like an extra artifact out of the dungeon, but we're not going to be like, oh, you have a personal goal to unlock a shrine.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go to that place that we know absolutely 100% is a shrine, and then we're going to fuck you over.
Yeah, like, oh, we know for a fact that location is a thing you need for your personal objective. We'll leave that location for you.
Weirdly, we found 2 other shrines in the process, but that was entirely accidental.
Exactly. You didn't deliberately snipe the thing someone else needed, but, like, equally, haha, I got the backpack and I went and got the 2 highest value things. That's fair game, like, but I think we were still also being like, oh, I'm not going to deliberately buy healing things when someone at the table clearly needs healing more than me. There was
one point when we agreed to just say, hey, we can pass a healing potion.
I have a healing potion I don't need, and my friend needs a healing potion. Can I give them a... I don't care what the rules say. Table, can I give them a healing potion?
Yeah. And we were happy to do that, and it made the game way more fun.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it felt really early in the mission.
Yes, that was the thing, was like...
Not only because that would have brought the dragon down upon us, like, repeatedly, but just the fact that they would have been sat there for potentially quite a long time.
That's
just going, I have nothing to do.
Exactly. I feel like it's the DMing tabletop game thing of sometimes you fudge the number to make sure everyone at the table has fun and gets most of the way to the end of the session.
Yeah. Like, I'm all for peril, but like, you don't kill someone off 10 minutes into the mission and then have everyone else continue to go on the mission.
And I mean, it's not like we took away the peril. That player was healed for 2 points of health and was still 2 points of health away from death.
Yes.
Like, they were still 80% of the way to death.
They made it out in the end, didn't they?
Yeah, they did just about, very much by the skin of their teeth. But it brought the peril back. It put them perilously close to death again. They had their near miss.
They got, 2 extra rounds? Which is just enough?
Just enough to keep going.
Yeah.
And, like, I very much am enjoying this now we've gotten that question sort of out the way, and we're all on the same page how we're playing it.
Yeah, I am glad we were able to have the conversation and it be a thing, and we agreed on a level of, yes, we're happy to, do this thing, but ultimately we have agreed that the big bad thing in the book that we're all trying to avoid, we are all avoiding together.
Yeah, we are all avoiding together, and we're not fucking each other over each other's personal goals or story beats that seem tailor-made for people.
Yes.
But, like, I'll sure buy that broomstick that everyone at the table wants, and fuck you all, I'm having it.
And I will, point out to players who might be struggling a bit because perhaps there was a lot of gin involved, and be like, hey, if you do this thing first, you can have enough money to buy that thing, and things will be better for you.
Exactly. Like, I'm not gonna... I want everyone to have the best point scoring game they can have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It was nice to play more than that. It was really nice to hang out with our gaming group again, because it's been ages because we've been so busy.
We have, but we've finally got weekends as a thing again, somewhat.
Time to fill them up.
Yay!
Have you played anything else?
The main thing I've played is I played Street Fighter 6.
You did.
I did.
The Fighty Streets.
I went to Capcom's offices. I went, hey, I've heard some interesting things about accessibility. Can I come play your game in your office? And they were like, yeah, sure, come play. So I played an hour of Street Fighter 6.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, the reason I was intrigued by it is I love one-on-one fighting games in theory, but there's 2 reasons I struggle to play them in any kind of competent manner usually. I am no good at remembering combos, and my hands are no good at executing combos reliably, particularly when quarter circle inputs are involved.
The quarter circles were less of a problem for me than half circles.
Oh, it's having to go between quarter circles and half circles fucks with my brain.
Like the original Street Fighter, I could never get half circles even with a control stick.
Yeah.
And I only just, keyboards is weirdly the easiest way I've ever found to do quarter circles, because it's just the way you skip your fingers across 2 buttons.
Right. And like I've talked about before, like the only real fighting games I've ever felt like particularly competent in have been Super Smash Brothers, because all your special moves are just tied to be in a direction,
Yeah.
or the 3DS port of Street Fighter 4, where you could map special moves and super moves to touchscreen buttons. And funny, I should mention those two examples. There is a control scheme in Street Fighter 6 called Modern Mode that reduces a little bit of the top-end complexity of what you can technically do with a character. There's a couple of things you will miss out on. But in the process, it completely gets rid of combos, quarter and half circle inputs. It becomes a much easier to execute control scheme that is a lot more like Smash Brothers. Instead of having 6 buttons paired to heavy kick, heavy punch, medium kick, medium punch, light kick, light punch, you now just have 3: heavy, medium, heavy, medium, and light, and it from context decides on punch or kick for you. You have a special button, triangle on PlayStation. It functions like the B button in Smash. You press that to do a special, press it with a direction to modify which special you do. Your supers are triangle and square with a directional modifier. And then you just have a couple of things on the triggers. You've got grab on L2, R2 you can hold to be like a combo modifier, so your heavy, light, and medium will do a pre-programmed combo when you mash them. L1 is a special kind of new hit that does a big paint splash effect, and R1 is a block that will, block all incoming damage, but it uses up a meter. And that's it. And, like, I could get into a lot of the intricacies of this, and, like, AA this week that will be up, or is already up, depending on when you're listening to this, gets into a lot more of the specifics on it, but, like, for the sake of losing out on a couple of special moves from your options list and a little bit of flexibility lost in what your heavy, medium, or light attacks or combos are, the trade-off is it's really easy to execute on things on a technical level, and therefore you can just focus on what do I want to do in this moment, not focusing on how do I do it. And that made a real difference to how I felt playing. Like, I often end up falling back on button mashing in these kind of games because I either in the heat of the moment can't remember how, or like what combo I need to do an attack, or I can't rely on doing it fast enough that the game recognizes it as an input string. Now, I see someone jumping towards me and they're in the air and they're vulnerable. I just press triangle and I do a Hadoken and I catch them as they land. I want to do a big flurry of kicks, down and triangle, done. I felt a lot more like I was freed up to actually engage with the strategy of what I was doing and to feel competent playing. And I was playing against someone who was using a fighting stick and the traditional set of controls. I was holding my own just fine. I was like, I recognize that like tournament level play, there are like, that's never going to be a way of playing at tournament level, because the fact that your opponent knows you've got fewer moves at your disposal means that they have fewer things they need to think about countering, and they have more moves they can do that you are probably not prepared for. And, like, yeah, at the top end of the top end, I do not have as much available to me as a professional player, but also...
I'd be curious to know how that actually works out in practice.
Genuinely, I'm very curious. Like, I think for, like, it up to the sort of, like, yeah, I play Street Fighter and I feel pretty good at it level, I think even up to that level, like, Modern Control really feels like it's going to hold its own pretty darn well, because, like, as much as you obviously have a few fewer things at your disposal, you're also able to react a little faster, because when you just have to press triangle to do a Hadoken, you don't have to do more than one input. You can fire off things a little quicker than your opponent can, in some cases even.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm really kind of fascinated by this, and I hope it gets picked up by people, because, like, I really was kind of impressed by this.
I might play a Street Fighter for the first time in 20 years.
Right, give me a Street Fighter that plays like Smash, and I might actually play a lot of a Street Fighter.
Like, there's only 2 fighting games I've ever really got into and played multiplayer. Like, I loved Mortal Kombat as a kid, but I couldn't play it with other people, and I
Yeah.
couldn't play the arcade versions because they were deliberately designed to fuck you over.
Yup.
But like Smash, I have played with friends, and weirdly the other thing I played was Killer Instinct Gold on the N64. I bought a pre-owned copy from GameStation one summer, and it had everything unlocked already.
Oh, nice.
And because it was cartridge, you could just get the game and it would have all the things.
Yeah.
So it had ludicrous speed unlocked.
Ooh.
Which meant that I somehow, by not having to do holds for very long, like you just like slightly longer than a press, slightly longer than a press, I could fucking kick the shit out of people with Saberwolf.
Yeah.
I got really good with Saberwolf.
Yeah. Well,
But only at ludicrous speed. I couldn't play it anything less.
yeah. Like, there is something really nice about being able to just go like, oh, I'm playing as Ryu, triangle is Stoken, triangle and forward is Shoryuken.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally just triangle and direction. Like, the furthest it gets off of that complexity-wise, at least for the 4 characters I tried, is Chun-Li had one move where you have to hold back before you press triangle rather than doing them at the same time. That was the furthest. It was like, oh yeah, charge by holding back, then press triangle.
Yeah.
Nothing more complicated than that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I've looked at the footage that you've sent me and the breakdown of how those moves worked. And yeah, I seriously think this might be a Street Fighter that I give a go again. Yeah. Partly because those splash moves look great.
Oh yeah, so like there's this new meter called the impact drive meter. Yes, it's drive impact is the attack. So you've got 2 things which you map to your L1 and R1, and L1 is big flashy attack that if it like it'll have priority over most moves. So if you clash with someone else, your drive impact probably wins, and then it does a big paint splash effect as it hits them and does a big hit.
Very vibrant.
But it uses up this drive meter. But you've also got drive parry, which is just a complete and utter damage doesn't hurt you block. Grabs can still get you, but anything else just does 0 damage to you, including like super moves. If you block attacks with it, that builds your meter back up, but if you're holding that down and not being hit, it is draining your meter slightly. That paint effect is so gorgeous.
Yeah, and it adds a real nice vibrancy to a game that, for the most part, they've taken a lot of that bright anime colouring out of.
They've gone a bit like hyper real, very detailed, but those paint splashes kind of keep it.
I mean, like, it still has a lot of that fantastical stuff. Like, the proportions are obviously a bit different, especially like Grandad Ryu.
Yes.
Some of the character proportions, obviously some of the way the characters move. Who's the drunken master guy?
Oh, I've completely forgotten his name off the top of my head, but yes.
I really enjoyed, like, obviously his colouring really helps pop him out of some of the backgrounds as well. But like that whole splash thing, a game that can in a lot of places be quite dark, or a little bit like low saturation in places.
Yes.
It really adds like a really nice splash of colour across the screen, and then it sort of sits there almost like blood on the floor for a little while, and then it sort of slowly dries up.
And if you use up that whole meter and leave yourself with none, you go grayscale.
I hadn't noticed that.
Until you like have time to rest and for it to slowly come back.
Yeah.
You're just completely washed from colour because you used up all your paint.
No, I've used up my paint.
I like that it slows down as though that hit is about to hit. Because if both players try and do a drive impact attack at each other at almost the same time, it'll slow right down and you'll go, this one was slightly later, so this one takes priority.
So this is your photo finish.
Yeah, you do your photo finish, and that one goes through.
Oh wow!
It's satisfying.
Nice.
Yeah, I genuinely am interested in playing Street Fighter more than I have been in a while.
I want this control scheme to come to like Mortal Kombat, and I want new.
Well, I mean, it's coming. It's coming to other fighting games like I think the most recent Blaze Blue has a very similar fighting scheme to this, which is like anime one-on-one fighting game.
I've never heard of that series.
It's made by Arc System Works, who are known for making like very technically proficient anime fighting games.
Okay.
But yeah, I believe the most recent one of that, or it might have been the most recent Guilty Gear, is one of those that had.
There's a colour game that's vibrant.
Yeah, that had a very similar control scheme to this. It seems like developers are finally catching up on more people might play your game if there is not such a fucking terrifying barrier to playing your game.
And also, maybe you won't burn out all of your fucking esports champions by the time they're 25.
Yeah.
By not forcing them to have to do super fast inputs.
Yeah.
Maybe your esports skill system will be, like, way more interesting.
Yeah, Street Fighter 6, pretty neat.
Well then, have you played anything else?
I think that's most of it. I played a couple of other games that were a bit so I'll leave it here. Well then.
Leave it,
Yeah. Well then, time for this.
Bloody disgusting, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it's absolutely...
Bloody disgusting.
Bloody
We have our
disgusting.
bloody health inspection, right?
Right.
We've been serving this community for 45 years, and has anyone died?
Not recently.
Not this week. No.
Not technically inside the building.
No, we're never inside the building.
No.
We pride ourselves on that. Never inside the building. And even if they did, we never left them on the counter for more than a week.
That
Apart from
anyone
that
can
one time.
prove.
Exactly. Right? And they come round here and they've given us a 1-star health
How
rating.
dare they do that?
A 1-star health rating. Oh, what are we supposed to do? Skim the chip pans?
Well-
Just get rid of all that flavour?
What are we meant to do? Wash our hands after going in the bathroom?
What? We'll not pick our nose while we're working?
How will I be able to smell if the food's done?
And what if I've got like an itchy crack?
Exactly.
Scratch me crack. Give it a sniff. Get back on.
Smells all right enough.
Exactly. You got to check it, ain't you? That's medical stuff, isn't it? Got to
Exactly.
make sure can't go wasting the doctor's time. Give yourself a little sniff. If it's all right, get on with
Oh.
it. And we're just supposed to do that, are we? We're just after 40 years of traditional cooking, we fry the eggs in at least 2 inches of fat. And we fry the sausages
after
in
that
at least
much
2 inches of fat.
After that much fat, how's anything going to stay alive that was bad in there?
Exactly.
It's going to burn the bad
Heat,
off it.
Heat burns everything off. So, we get the lard, we get more lard, we just use the same lard. And so what if the lard's burnt? Right?
Yeah.
So what if there's lard all over the floor and it's a trip hazard? That's part of the fun. The kiddies love skating along here, even if they do occasionally crack their head on the the low bit with where you put your tray along on the front of the till there, And so what if a lot of people suffer from coronary heart disease as a result of, coming here and eating our incredibly deep fried waffle hot dog sausage burger?
Oh, it's fucking woke liberal bullshit, isn't
Woke
it?
liberal bullshit. Covered in a layer of fine mist. More on that later. But first, sea turtles have formed a giant mech out of ocean plastic and are attacking the highest polluting areas in the world. If you happen to see the plasty turtle on the horizon, it's already too late. There's no point running, there's no point hiding, Plasty Turtle is coming for you. In interviews, the turtles have stated that they got the idea from watching 5-minute craft videos and reruns of Blue Peter, at which point they realised all they needed was a bunch of plastic junk and a hot glue gun and nothing could stop them. And now it's over to Invisible Bob with the weather. Hello! Hi there, Future Jane here. Basically, this entire section we discussed the TV show The Boys, which is horribly problematic, and content warnings for sexual assault, animal abuse. If you're feeling a bit sensitive, I would skip forward about 15 minutes and enjoy the skits that follows the things we watched section. Enjoy the rest of the show. So, what have you put in your eyes?
We put a few things in our eyes together.
A huge number of things in the eyes, really.
Yeah. Well, we watched a few things. We started watching The Boys.
We started watching The Boys with 5 episodes.
We're 5
into The
episodes
Boys.
deep into The Boys. How
We're
you
5 deep in The Boys.
How are you feeling being 5 deep in The Boys?
It's not what I expected. I think part of that is obviously the news that's broken recently about
of right-wing boys being like
really upset that the clearly a fascist turned out to be a fascist.
So here's the thing. I've been reading a bit more into that and going, okay, what are they actually upset about? And it seems like it's a lot of right-wing types that were holding out hope that this big America, symbol of America, there was going to be a reason for all of the things he did, and they were all going to have turned out to be for the greater good and ultimately for the best, and that maybe he had some tragic backstory that explained things. And there was a lot of, yes, but he's doing it for America and to be able to strong police America, which America needs. Which, like, I imagine if you're someone who fucking, like, loves to idolize the cops and the
a real
military,
thin blue line type, then
yeah, you can be like, well, of course he had to let that horrible thing happen. It was for the greater good of America.
Episode 3. Of
yeah,
the 4.
right.
Like,
the fact there are human beings that didn't instantly go, that's a monstrous thing to do that's indefensible, is like, yeah.
the fact that he's jealous of a baby.
He's jealous of a baby. So for anyone who's never seen this is Don't Give Amazon Any Money. It's an Amazon funded show about a world where superheroes exist, and I feel like it's very clearly meant to be a critique on
Marvel.
I mean, a little bit, but like
and DC, I guess.
I feel like it's very much like giving people the kind of absolute power you give them when they're, say, cops, politicians, things like that, is a very corrupting force.
Yeah.
And the sort of commodification and marketing that goes behind public image of making shitty people seem better than they are, through the lens of some superheroes have done some bad shit and we have a non-superhero that wants to do something about it.
I think the thing that makes me specifically think of Marvel is the way Marvel constantly cozies up with the US military.
Yeah.
And it feels like a critique of that, almost. Now, I've heard awful things about the comic books. Like, if you are interested in this show...
Don't read the comics.
Don't read the comics. They're worse in so many ways, apparently. Like, more racist, more sexist, more misogynistic, definitely more homophobic.
And just less interesting from what I've heard. Like, a lot of the things that make this show interesting are original to the show and not from the source material. But, like, it is definitely not an easy watch. It is an intense watch.
Oh, yeah.
It is a heavy watch, but, like, I think it's so far been quite good at tackling with, like, some emotionally complicated characters. I think largely that has been thanks to the presence of some of the female superheroes who have been put in shitty situations and are trying to deal with how do I deal with this fucking situation that is around me. And
it was giving me strong early Game of Thrones vibes. Like, could we get past the rape scenes, please?
Yeah. And, like, I'm glad it seems that's out the way.
Yeah.
But, like, I feel like it is very much a critique of powerful men and the abuses they do, and trying to stop them from just failing upwards and becoming more powerful and more loved the more shitty and fascist they are. And not letting them get away with being shitty fascist shitbag men.
Playing very much to the Christian right.
Yeah, that is no accident. There is a lot of critique of, like, the fundamental hypocrisy in a lot of right-wing stuff. I think I would have gone off this show a lot quicker if it wasn't for characters like Starlight, who is, like, new character in, and she's having a really bad time, and she's really torn about the whole situation. Yeah.
And that this isn't exactly what she'd always dreamed of as a kid.
Yeah.
And her being able to sort of go, I'm not okay with this.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it could very easily just be, yeah, we're doing this, we do these things, these are the things we do.
I think it helps that we've got a group of people trying to push back against, like, their unchecked power. We've got people within that institution going, oh god, I didn't realise it was going to be like this, what do I do about it? I knew that I was probably gonna get on well with this show when I think it was the first or second episode started being critical of police qualified immunity. You can't get legally in trouble for damage you do while on the job. You are not legally culpable for people you kill while you are doing your job.
Yes.
And, like, that's like, okay, yeah, that is a thing you're tackling quite head on. You're not playing around in the kiddie pool here.
Yeah, and the fact that it does feel like it doesn't always feel like it's handled in the best way. Like, this show is grim and dark and gritty and miserable as fuck a lot of time, but it does actually feel like it's going, but that's bad
Yes,
for the most part.
it feels like it's not it's not stopping going, we're not just going to uncritically show this, we're going to be like, that is a problem that needs stopping.
Yeah.
And I think that it has so far done a good job of, it's maybe being a bit in your face and a bit shock value to get some of those points across.
Yeah.
But they're also points that do exist in the real world and are important to talk about. Like a lot of the stuff like where we're currently at in the show is about like the attempted militarization of individuals and like shouldn't we be allowed to be more connected to the military and have more access to military the ability to not have to go up a chain of command to be allowed to do big amounts of killings
Because
without much oversight.
We are weapons.
And like a lot of it feels like, yep, that is currently where America's at, huh? So like,
American Empire. What?
yeah, I am definitely interested to watch more.
Yes.
I
will probably need to take breaks. This is not a show I think I could easily just be like, yeah, I'll binge this.
Yeah, it is. And I will say, I think it's gotten easier to watch. Like, its first episode in particular was a lot.
Yes.
And once you get past that first one, it settles
a bit.
Episode 3 has some different kind of intensity going on.
Yeah, but like, even there's the thing that happens with the Deep trying to do a good thing.
Oh, yeah.
That feels like a particular type of almost Family Guy-esque humour that is kind of jarring. It felt like they were trying to add levity to the story.
Yeah.
But it was just done in a, I don't know how else to say this, like a really boyish way.
Yeah, yeah.
It felt like the kind of that 14-year-old boys at my high school would have been like, I saw this thing, it's brilliant, and they did the thing, and then, ha-ha, the dolphin.
That is the sole example I can think of where there was a use of violence that didn't really exist to critique anything or any bad action going on. I don't think the Deep was doing anything particularly bad, and I think that
that whole scene is just weird as fuck.
That whole scene is weird as fuck. But like, it's a use of violence that wasn't making some grander point, and I think that is the exception rather than the rule.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, like, I didn't know, are we supposed to suddenly feel sympathy for the Deep because of like trying to do a good thing? But also,
I don't feel sympathy
because I don't, and I won't.
After episode 1, I will never feel sympathy for that fucker.
No, I really couldn't tell where they were going that, but it really felt like this is the sort of thing that someone would have talked about having seen on TV the night before in high school, and like just laughing about it hysterically for months.
I feel like very clearly the strongest character in this, that they have the best idea of what they're actually trying to do with this Homelander. Because, like, I feel like
I don't know, I think Starlight is...
Starlight on the positive side, but I mean, of the shitty men in the superhero squad, I feel like Homelander has the clearest, like, oh, you are, if Captain America's very pro-America, very Christian values personality was taken to the current American extreme of that, rather than but he's nice that Marvel has done with it, and going, yeah, Christian right ain't always so great in America.
If Donald Trump Jr. was Superman.
Yeah, it's He's definitely like, he is a very clear analogue for a very clear thing.
Yes.
And they are being very effective with telling his particular story. His has been it's felt very focused what they're trying to do with him.
I mean, we have obviously spent a lot of time with him, and I think it seems like we're going to continue to.
Yeah.
Is it Minerva?
Yes, the one that was in episode 3.
The Wonder Woman analog.
Yes, the Wonder Woman analog.
Like, I feel like they're trying to flesh her out a bit more now.
Yes.
We're getting some backstory, some history stuff.
Yeah.
We've had the sort of growing tension between her and Homelander already.
Yeah.
And, like, what do you do when someone that powerful is that much of a fucking creeper?
It's that fucking problem of, like, why are there no good people in the cops? Because they're either afraid of people more powerful above them, or they do stand up to powerful people above them and they don't stay cops very long. That feels very much like her early thing is, how do you be a good person in a situation like that where power is not on your side, necessarily?
A great imbalance at work.
Yeah.
There's lots of imbalance in this show.
Yeah. There's a lot of very interesting things this show is trying to do, even if it's not always 100% hitting the mark how it's doing it.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to keep giving it a shot, because I think it's hitting more than it's missing.
Yeah. If nothing else, I'm curious.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time, I am disgusted by it.
It is not a boring watch.
No.
And even when I'm disgusted by it, I generally feel like I'm being disgusted for a purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not bothered by the gore, and there is a decent amount of gore in this show. That doesn't necessarily, for the most part, that doesn't seem to be particularly gratuitous even. But, like, yeah, it is disgusting, but it's talking about things that are disgusting, and you should be disgusted by those things.
Yeah.
But I almost wish we had some more heroic heroes on one side or the other. Because even the group that are trying to be their downfall are
I feel
problematic
like
people.
I feel like we're building up to having at least one decent person on that team.
On both of them, perhaps.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's
been an interesting watch for sure.
Didn't pay Bezos for it, so...
Nope. What about you? What have you watched?
That's been it, really. Like, it's not been a watch-heavy week. I've mostly been, just going for walks and enjoying the sunshine, except when it's at an insufferable degree.
Yeah.
I listen to a lot of music, but we'll get to that later.
I haven't watched a lot either, because I've been trying to get through my list of stuff I have to be playing for work purposes, and that's
You've been a busy bean.
I've been a busy bean. I've been playing a lot of work games that have been eating up my time and, doing works. But started watching a new show that is definitely interesting.
Yeah.
Well then.
Time for this.
Oh,
We've got a new sponsor.
Who's our new sponsor?
Well, do you play video games?
I have been known to play video games.
And do you like achieving the things in the video games and unlocking things and getting new stuff?
I mean, that does set the dopamine off in the brain, and I do have a chronic lack of dopamine.
And do you have a requirement for other things in the world, such as goods and services?
I mean, I do, yeah. My whole life isn't video games.
What if, while paying for goods and services... you could be accumulating achievement points?
I'm concerned. Tell me more.
Well, try the gamercreditcard.lol.net. You can accumulate vast amounts of debt with a typical APR of 1,337%. That's a reference.
The gamer number, isn't it?
I've not seen that reference in a few years, jeez.
Yeah.
You can get a typical APR of that and rack up game achievement points that you can use to basically gamify your spiral into overspending.
This seems like the worst fucking idea the planet's ever had. I do not need gamification to encourage me to spend money I don't have.
You heard it here first. Don't.
I
Whatever you do, don't go to gamercreditcard.lol.net. Don't sign up for their thing. Don't get pre-approved today. Don't do it. Bad. This has been a warning from the Queer and Pleasant Strangers. I don't care if they don't pay us for this week's sponsorship. Fuck 'em.
Fuck 'em indeed.
Inside the boardroom of Supremacy Software.
Hi. So, I've been watching what some of the other video game companies have been up
Right,
to, you
right,
know,
yeah,
like keeping an eye on the competition, seeing,
Right.
you know, if there's any like duplicitous techniques we should be using.
I love a duplicitous technique.
Right, they're the fucking best. But
Right.
I think we may have just been outdone in the being brazen about our bullshit department.
How fucking dare they? Who?
Right. It's that one company that's been getting all of the big heavy flack recently. You know the one that one over there. I'm
Right.
sort of pointing that way.
Yeah, you know, the one down the street.
Yeah. So, did you know we can just like declare ourselves innocent of crimes?
I mean, I've been saying "nuh-uh" every time they told us that we'd done a crime.
Yeah, I know, but like,
Is there more than that?
yeah, there's more than that. You
Wow.
know, so that company down the road.
Right.
Here's what they did. They went, oh, you know how there's huge numbers of credible allegations against us and huge numbers of people have come forward.
Yeah,
and
I mean, hashtag
Yeah.
relatable.
exactly, all of this evidence. They, out of nowhere, no one asked them to, they were like, we have investigated ourselves.
Well, I mean, we investigate ourselves all the time.
But they were like, look, we investigated ourselves and we found that we did nothing wrong. And more than that, we found in our secret investigation, no, you can't see it, that we were innocent the whole time and everyone else just made up everything to be mean. We're innocent, we say so.
Wow. I mean, that is...
Like,
I feel like we've been playing in the Little Leagues all this time.
I've been like, you know, I've dreamt about that. I've dreamt about this possibility. I never thought that was... I thought that was the line. I thought that was the,
Yeah.
like, no one will buy it.
We've denied things. We fired the wrong people. We've shuffled people from department
Yeah.
to department. And we've said, following an internal review, we have dealt with it.
Yeah.
We never thought to say, following an internal review, nuh-uh.
Nuh-uh, yeah. Following an internal review, we found, actually, the very mean government made it all up, and they're just being mean for headline clicks, and we found out that we're innocent. We found all the evidence. We're innocent.
If only I had thought previously to take nuh-uh and jam it together with, we have decided that we're
Yeah.
not guilty. You know, just
like putting it together.
Yeah.
Like, we've decided to investigate ourselves, and nuh-uh.
they are fucking geniuses.
I know. We gotta step the fucking game up.
Or buy them.
I like your fucking thinking. So, what have you been listening to?
So it's summer. I'm basically just listening to whatever I have on my phone that is upbeat that I can walk to or
What a
point to.
summer dance
or...
music mix is.
Yeah, so Gangnam Style.
Yeah.
It's art, also by Psy. I Want to Be Sedated by the Ramones.
Ooh.
Real Boy the Ritz, which is like, it's putting on the Ritz, but it's the electro swing. It's a nice mix. Computers Rockman, lovely bit of drum and bass. YRNA, featuring Kit, also by Rockman. It's more good drum and bass. The catchline is, you're not alone. It's just a nice little upbeat bit of drum and bass with some really good, like chiptune type sounds in it. Polyhymnia from Saints Row 4.
Oh, yeah.
A beautiful bit of slightly operatic dubstep.
Yeah.
Scam versus Freestylers, Put Up Your Hand. Really nice, summery drum and bass. Look, there's been a lot of drum and bass. Serial Killers, Good Enough. Serial Killers, Professional Ganja Smoker. Follow Me by Shokwan.
Oh, yeah.
Cracking track. Shuffle On by the Bobby C Sound TV. Bobby C. Just the letter C.
Yeah.
Sound TV. I realised I kind of that. Glitterball by Sigma, featuring Ella Henderson. It's a beautiful bit of uplifting drum and bass. There's been a lot of drum and bass. You might think it's a bit hot to be dancing around to drum and bass, but fuck it. Sirens Call, Devil Swing. Again, more electro swing. Slamboree, Cheeky Peepers. Slamboree, Big Bada Boomtown, which is the Boomtown / Fifth Element sample drum and bass track. Snap, I've Got the Power. Clean Air featuring Bruno Baton, the JFB remix. It's just a really slow build, beautiful bit of drum and bass about environmental issues. Sweet Ballroom Blitz. Ballroom Blitz. Talpa, Going Home, lovely bit of trance. It's just, how long is it? It's like 7 minutes and 4 seconds long. It's just builds beautifully over a nice timeline, and just by the time it's fully going, you're really fucking have it. Holly's Air That I Breathe, because apparently I listen to really old music. Jimi Hendrix Experience All Along the Watchtower. Kids Ain't Alright by The Offspring. Valoria by the Pixies. Ebenezer Good by the Shaman. Because, Small Faces, Lazy Sunday Afternoon. And I think that's about it for this week. It's been a lot of just upbeat. Oh, Tracy Chapman.
Yeah.
Fast car.
For me, I have been reorganising my office, which has meant everything's different and changing and not the same. And therefore, I've been listening to just like comfort stuff that is on loop. Mainly the last couple of days, it's been Dessa, who I've talked about on this show before. I've just been listening to her 2018 album Chime on repeat. It's a real good album. Like that album a lot. It's been good. I need just the same thing happening over and over while everything in this room changes until this feels familiar. That's been it for me this week. Just Dessa Chime a bunch.
Dessa Chime.
Yeah.
The only other thing that I've listened to was a Scartoon Network recommended. Apparently Friday is when they check out new music. Lots of new music drops and they check them out. And will be giving recommendations if you go follow them on their TikTok. And one of the bands that came up was Pollyanna, who are a punk band. And I have listened to Pixie, Smile, and Slut. I particularly enjoyed Slut. Slut is a good track. Good shouty punk vocals.
If you could send me a link to that, that'd be great. That sounds interesting. I'm always up for hearing more good punk.
More good punk. They've just released a new album called Slime. Wonder why that caught my eye. Go check that out if that is the thing you want to do. I haven't looked into them very much, but I figured since they came recommended by Scartoon Network, you can't go far wrong. You got any others?
No, that's it for me.
Well then.
Time for this.
For Madame, the huge bowl of nuggets.
Thank you.
And a small bucket of ketchup.
Thank you.
And for other Madame, salad. Thank you very much. Enjoy your meal.
How are you? How are you enjoying your meal?
Yes. Same as.
What's so funny over there?
Oh, this diet sucks, but salad.
Right, troops, we need to come up with a new strategy, we need to come up with a new plan. What we've been doing so far in this war has not been working. Flower Pollen Brigade. Most of your lot have been very ineffective, you've not even been breaking through the outer defences. What do you have to say for yourself?
Seems to be a lot of net curtains up this year, sir. And people have been learning that apparently you can coat the inside of your nostrils with Vaseline.
Oh, goodness. Well, what about you, tree pollen branch?
What do you think I can do? It's got to be windy, or, it's not like I can just wander out and stick my stamen down her nose, is it?
No. Well, I think it's finally time for the big guns. Freshly cut grass. No more mayors either. Our time is now. Rise up, my grassy siblings. Rise. Storm the eyes.
Do you know what I want to see more of?
What do you want to see more of?
Brochure Justice Warriors.
Brochure Justice Warriors?
Yeah.
All right, Larry.
All right, Barry. How you doing?
Oh, a bit tired, mate. I think the heat's been disturbing my sleep a little bit.
Oh, yeah, same.
You been up to much?
Oh, my day was a little slower than I planned today. I had to get the bus because there's the that rail strike on at the moment.
Oh, yeah, good on them. I've been giving them a wave as I walk past. I mean, luckily I don't have to, go far into work, but
exactly.
It's been, cheering them on.
Little bit inconvenient, but you do what you can. You support, folks who are striking.
It's a few days inconvenience to me, but that's their livelihood.
Exactly.
They got to live that day in day out. And
strike action's like the only real way they got of getting any change in what's going on.
Well, I certainly hope so. It seems like that we've currently got a government who don't seem to give a fuck about anyone, and refusing to meet with the unions and so forth, just seem to utterly disregard it. And
history has demonstrated that strike action definitely does get people who won't, fucking talk to the unions to come to the table. But I've seen a few people that have been, going very, woe is me, I've had mild inconvenience because of the strikes, and I'm like, look, I get being inconvenienced, but like, you've got to support striking workers even when it's inconvenient. Because, like, honestly,
and also maybe you can look at them being, standing together and forming a powerful message to their boss and go, what if I also went on strike and got better conditions for myself and my family?
Yeah.
Especially when you get these people going, oh, well, they get paid more than nurses or whatever, and very often they're talking about entirely different people. Because the one we've heard a lot recently about the RMT strike is that, it's the drivers. The drivers are already very well paid. It's not, though. Most of the drivers are with a different union.
Yeah.
This strike action is about cleaners and people who work in the ticket offices and so forth. People that actually help out on the trains and around the stations and, cleaning and so forth. And that aren't as well treated and as well paid. And also, don't let people, like upper class people, richer people than you, force you to start infighting against other working class people.
Don't look at other working class people trying to improve their situation and go, that's the villain. Go, wait, why are they not being treated better by their billionaire bosses that are raking in profit? It's...
How about this as another option? Join a union yourself and propose unified strike action, perhaps a general strike until everyone gets what they want.
Exactly. It just...
There are many, many more of us than them.
Exactly.
That's why they call them the 1%.
Exactly. But in a world where the working class have so little power to actually enact change, against their superiors, support striking workers. Because to get to a point where you've got enough people on side to actually execute a strike properly is not an easy task, and respect the fact that they're trying to, improve shit for themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing is, I talked about unified strike action before. To be honest, at this stage, the only way we are going to get a better and fairer lot for hospital workers, nurses, people love talking about nurses until they actually want some pay.
Yeah.
The only way we are going to get better conditions for hospital staff of all levels is perhaps a general strike. So more union power, join your union for whatever your trade or industry is, and start thinking about everyone, especially if you're the kind of person who goes, well, the nurses get less than them. Well, maybe you can do something about that.
Yeah, strike in favour of the nurses and whatnot.
Yeah, truckers have famously struck for, I think, teachers and nurses before.
Yeah.
You can do a lot if you do take that kind of direct action and join together in that way.
Yeah. That's
probably not be as long as usual, mate. It's bloody hot today. Good on, mate. Good on. I think I'm going to have a cold shower.
Oh, sounds like a plan.
It's sticky.
So, Laura,
Yes.
We've got a book that's gone off to copy editing.
Yeah, we can say that now because people have been told about it. It's out of our hands. We've written a book.
Yeah.
It just needs to be like the dotting the I's and crossing the T's and putting it in pages.
Yeah.
What's that book called?
It's called Who Hunts the Whale. It's by you and by me.
Oh, we did it together.
And it's definitely a satire based on the bullshit of Supremacy Software that we talk about every week on this show.
Fictional companies only. No satire of anything other than fiction.
Only fiction.
Any similarity to the real world, pure fucking coincidence.
Pure fucking coincidence. And do you really want to be the people that say, yeah, we did terrible abuses to our stuff?
Terrible abusive company is us.
That's us. Hey,
Yeah.
hey.
Hey, that's us. You've
That's us.
written about
You've
that
written
terrible
about.
evil corporation. That's us.
Do you want to be that company?
I don't think anyone wants to be that company.
Well, hopefully not. Unbound.com/book/whale. There is still time. You can get a copy of the book. You can get ebooks. You can get signed copies. You can get a swag bag with like a tote bag and
Yeah.
a mug and a t-shirt, and I think there's a pen in there.
I believe so.
I can't remember. There's lots of stuff in there.
Yeah. Very soon that final cover art's gonna be seeable. It's so nice.
Yes, we've seen like the normal ones. They're gonna send us a high quality version.
Big high res version bit. Oh, it's a gorgeous bit of art. That. It's a lovely one.
Yeah, you're a lovely one.
Oh, you're a lovely one.
But I understand that there's another book that's coming sooner, like in 6 weeks.
Oh, in like 6
Like it'll be out about the time of Cult of the Lamb, if that helps.
It's out a week after Cult of the Lamb. That's a weird thing to follow up. It's called Me and My Dysphoria Monster. It's a children's book. It's illustrated. It's wonderful. I'm very proud of it. All of the early reviews have been very, very positive, which has been a real fucking relief because it's scary doing a new thing, and children's literature is that's one place you don't want to fuck up.
And you know, as much as I can say, it's a good book.
It's reassuring to have people who don't know me say it's a good book. Strangers can, they don't have to say nice things to me.
I don't have to say nice things to you. I choose to say nice things to you.
I know. Mwah. But yeah, that comes out on August 18th. Other than that, just search for me at Laura K. Buzz everywhere. Maybe keep an eye on my Twitter and TikTok and social medias into this week. If you're hearing this on Sunday, maybe check that you didn't miss anything around, maybe Friday of the week, mayhaps. I can't say any more, but I'm excited for a thing to happen. What about you? Where can people find
Me?
you?
Well, I couldn't get the good advertising, the unified branding. I couldn't get that, so I'm at streamerlinks.com/Janiac, JANEIAC. You can find all my links. You can go to my Redbubble, and you can get all the new t-shirts. You can even get possibly a Who Hunts the Whale t-shirt. I mean, what?
Who? What?
I
don't know what you mean. That's just a very relatable horse.
It is a very relatable horse, and it does say that it's specifically WHTW. So that could probably mean anything, but you could get a t-shirt that says brackets a very relatable horse on it. And that would be funny. You can get all my other designs. There's a couple of new ones up there. There's a Neurospicy shirt, which I am very pleased with.
It's a very good
the Nando's spice chart, but what if it was your brain? And there's one that I made the other day that got taken down because they said it was copyright theft. It's not. But I will be slightly redesigning that, and I'm going to have another go. And if that gets taken down, then I'm just going to release the files, and you can print as many fucking t-shirts with it on as you want.
Yay!
If you can find someone to do it, because that's how that works.
Take it to your local t-shirt shop.
I've done this with a few designs. It's like, oh, that won't go through. Well, everyone can have it for free. Yeah, so that's that. My most important one is patreon.com/stonedmonkeyradio. That helps me pay my bills. That helps me justify 76-hour work week. And that helps keep me in all the machinery that I need to do the job and make entertainment for the people who enjoy this show, which we record and I edit and upload and do the scheduling and stuff. And you can get early access to Grim Pleasant Strangers for as little as $10 a month. But, anything helps. And if you can't personally donate, always sharing helps, and I very much appreciate all the people who already donate. Thank you very much. You are lovely and good. Laura,
Yeah.
will you sing us out, please, darling?
Until next time, be a stranger.